Do you find that you are believing every scam, every headline that is out there and losing insight to your own intuition? I'm going to tell you today how to stop that from happening to you.
Do you want to know everything? What your heart won't say, but your soul can sing. From love to loss and the space between, she's got the light to lift the unseen. Hope, healing, and transformation. Do you want to know everything? Do you want to know everything?
Hey everyone, and welcome to Hope, Healing, and Transformation. My name's Lisa Williams, and we're going to explore some things that have been trending recently because I think, we get swept up in this whole trend. All right. And I kind of like this topic. I'm choosing 3 topics today because I feel like what happens is we kind of get swept up on social media and the internet. There's so many things, like we have ChatGPT, we have Perplexity, which is my friend. We have all of these, we have everything has become this like obstacle course in I guess the spiritual obstacle course. We turn to things and we like asking questions, and I'll be honest with you, wherever I turn, somebody's trying to sell me something. Honestly, somebody's trying to sell me something. They're trying to convince me of something, or I'm being tried to be pulled into something that maybe I don't believe in. I just feel like everywhere I turn, something is going on. And I'll be honest with you, it's not always obvious. I have these fake scammers who will clone my accounts on social media and have gotten money out of people. It sucks and it really riles me. Now, let's talk about that, okay? We don't even know it's happening. Okay, we don't know it's obvious. Some of it looks like your best friend is texting you. Some of it looks like it's your favorite cartoon that is predicting the future. Yes, we're talking about the Simpsons. And some of it is so subtle that it just becomes the noise of every single day of what we seem to be living in, because this is it. We are living in noise. But here's my take. These aren't random headlines or some trends that are going on at the moment. I think they're mirrors. They're sacred mirrors. They're showing us where our boundaries are really thin and when our own discernment is kind of a little bit wonky and a bit shaky, and when we're really longing for something deeper, maybe connection, without even realizing it. We're wanting to have some justification out there in the world, and we're wanting to feel validated. So today, we're going to explore 3 things. We're going to explore the rise in these scams, because I'm going to tell you, if anything, they really piss me off, and what they're teaching us about our own spiritual boundaries. And then we have that viral Simpsons prophecy and rumor. And, a lot of people are waiting for it to happen. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then there isn't actually any proof, apparently, that this episode ever aired. But anyway, we'll talk about that. And also the other trend is this digital detox summer. It's kind of become this like cute hashtag, but it really is a spiritual lifeline, because truly, when we are attached to these things that we have, these, our phones and our computers and our iPads and everything else, we actually do need to have a detox. When we are looking at these these trends, it's really like these spiritual lessons that we're going for. And we realize that every time we click, every time we scroll, every time we read a headline, it is either a distraction from our life, or it could be an invitation somewhere. So let's talk about these scams. I don't know about you, but it drives me insane. I have so many times people have said to me, "You've been hacked." No, I haven't been hacked. I've been cloned. I call her my spiritual mom, Goethe. She'll text me and say, can you come up and check this email because somebody is asking me for money? And I check and I'm like, it's a scam. My own parents have done it. I've got friends who have done it. I see it on my cell phones. I'm telling my kids, please be careful. These scams are everywhere. Excuse me. In Australia, all right, because it's a big thing in Australia right now, and I have a lot of friends of mine in Australia. 66% of people that were surveyed said that they had been targeted by a scam recently, and 27% fell for it. Now, that is not a problem. That is not any fault of their own by taking on the scam. And if my husband was listening to this, he'd be like, oh, well, they should know the difference. No, they're getting so good at it. I have been catfished. I have been in that whole space. It is not a good place to be. So I want you to know here that when we are being scammed, okay, and this is what happens, and I will talk for me personally. When my Facebook and my Instagram and things like that are being cloned, all of a sudden, people lose trust. Because even though these statistics are out there and they are true statistics, that is not just this number. That is a millions of little moments where trust is broken. And trust is a very, very spiritual component to us. Because it's this moment of trust that we have. Now, this clone has actually caused distrust or mistrust on me as a brand. And it's the way it happens, because all of a sudden somebody's giving them money and somebody's saying, hey, I'm going to let me read your palm, or let me pull a card for you. Hey, it's Lisa. I'm one of her advisors. It is not, because I'm never going to ask you for money, but they are going to feel like they cannot trust a brand. That is what's actually happening out there, my friends. So these aren't always these cartoonish scams, okay, of what the early internet was about, okay? Because the early internet, you know, even down to 10 years ago was about that. These are now tailored. They've become really personal, really personal. It could be a text from someone that sounds like your kid that says, hey, mom, I've lost my phone. Can you send me money? Or, hey, mom, I need this. It could be an email from your bank telling you to secure your account. It can be an email from PayPal to put in your details. It can be anything. And it's so clever. And I always tell people, check where it's come from. If it's come from, you know, the PayPal, then great. But if it's come from, you know, a random Gmail or you know, whatever it is, be very aware, because it also a friend request that has become a sob story. It happened to me, and honestly, you know, even though mine was legit and I questioned it, it still became somewhat of a scam. There was just this feeling of, I don't know, they used my own kindness against me. So remember that this is an opportunity for us to be aware. And this is where it gets spiritual. And I'm turning it into a spiritual space. A scam is an energetic transaction. Sharing money with someone is an energetic transaction. It's an exchange of energy. I'm doing this for you. You are doing this for me. I am paying you for a service. It becomes an energy exchange. So when someone presents this sense of urgency, fear, hope, they are kind of getting you to respond without pause, without any hesitation. You're in a reactive space. And this is where, in a spiritual concept, this can be energy leakage. It becomes this leaky energies and energy. It's where we do not, and it's the noise that I've been talking about recently on my podcast, that we are not tapping into our own instincts to help or fix, because our intuition doesn't kick in. We are in this reactive state. And this is where what we have to do is we literally have to take a moment to discern it. We have to have discernment for everything, every message, every friend request, every digital or anything else deserves that moment of pause. The sacred pause. That's what I call it. A friend of mine calls it space for grace. I call it the sacred pause. And it's in that sacred pause, that moment of stillness, we are allowed to hear our own thoughts. So when we have this, when that random text message that comes up, I mean, the one that was going on recently was New York State, and you haven't paid your toll on the I-90, and it was coming from an Australian number. I'm like, really? And oh my God, the one that I get recently is that I haven't paid taxes from the Australian government based upon me leaving the Australia. So there's a lot about this, and really and truly, it is about having discernment. It is about sitting in this quiet space and saying, I'm not going to react. I'm going to sit. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to allow this to happen. Because here's the practice that we really should start getting into is when something unexpected happens, that don't react. First of all, do not react. Take this moment and take a breath. Close your internet, close whatever it is, close whatever it is. You don't need to look at it. And walk away. Don't even think about it again. Then come back to it. And you're going to find that something will either feel right or feel wrong. And then I'm going to ask you to go in a little bit deeper. Place your hand on your heart, okay? When we place our hand on our chest here, and you might want to do this, all of a sudden, when you take your awareness, if you go from the brow of you and you bring that almost brow energy down into your heart, you almost can feel this heaviness here. You're just very aware of the weight on your chest. And if you take a deep breath here, and if you breathe in and you're feeling your chest rise and fall, and then you're taking that stillness and you're aware of the hand that is heavy on your chest here, and then just ask, is this in alignment with truth? Or is this trying to get me to pull myself out of alignment? Okay? And just breathe. Allow yourself. Don't get wrapped up into fear. Don't get wrapped up into, oh my God, but these children need my help, or these animals need my help, or could be da 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 da. They're going to find you. All right? So just breathe. If it's real, meaning if it's your kids, they're going to find you. Okay? And if it's real, breathe. And this is what I like to say. Ask them a funny memory. Ask them, if it's you, don't be afraid to ask. If it's you, tell me how we met. Tell me what you had for dinner last night. Tell me what your favorite movie is. Ask questions that only they would know, because you want to make sure everything is right. It's about being in alignment, okay? And listen, if you've fallen for one of these scams, okay, don't have any shame around it, please. Do not have any shame about this. This happens to millions of people every single day. And yes, you could say, I should have known better, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Listen, we shoulda, woulda, coulda, okay? I've fallen for it myself. it doesn't mean that you're foolish. It really doesn't. It means that you have heart. You have a heart. You were human enough to care and to believe and to trust. There's the key here. And this growth comes when we start learning these lessons. And when we start learning these lessons without it putting up these boundaries, hardening our part of us, that, our heart, that part, when we start to really learn those lessons, is where the growth is. And we can still have compassion. I mean, I have been scammed quite a few times, but when we are allowing ourselves to have that compassion, but we're aware and we're starting to listen to our intuition, that's powerful. The goal here isn't about not trusting. It's about trusting wisely and about trusting carefully. So I want to actually talk about that first of all. Now, here's the next one. The Simpsons. Let's talk about this Simpsons. This is what's been trending recently, okay? And I feel as though I have a little bit of an opinion on all of this, okay? Recently, rumors spread like crazy that The Simpsons had predicted that Donald Trump's death was going to be in August 2025, okay? And I don't know whether it went out there. There was a rumor, and millions of people have seen it, and many people have believed it, and yet apparently there's no episode, no scene, no proof, and it doesn't exist. Okay, I've searched for it, can't find it, but maybe you have. Okay, but we're not talking about the episode and who's found it and what the prediction is and yada 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 yada. What we're actually talking about here is we're talking about trust. We're talking about patterns. People latch on to things. People latch onto it. And we are wired in our brain to look for patterns. We are wired to, our brain waves, it's like if you're pregnant, all you're going to see are pregnant women. If you buy a red car, all you're going to see are red cars. The reason being is because your brain is searching for a confirmation bias, which is what it's called, confirmation bias, to know that you have done the right thing or you are making the right choice or that this is validating whatever it is. Period. Okay? We as spiritual beings, or me as a spiritual being, I'm looking for a sign all the damn time. Okay, give me a sign, give me a sign, give me a sign. I'm doing it all the time. Okay, if you're not, then teach me how not to. But we look for these patterns. And so I'm going to share with you our ancestors. Okay, if we go back many generations, people have gone by astrology. People have looked at the flight where birds are going, the birds, the way that the wind is shifting. I seriously, my husband can look at the wind. I mean, yes, okay, he's trained army, but he can look at the sky and say, right, we're going in this direction because of the weather. It's just the way he is. All right. And so we have been trained, our ancestors. This is why I work as a psychic medium, is because I have trained my own intuition to be in that space. But today, here's what's actually happening. We are reading all about this stuff in memes, in TikToks, in pop culture, in mass media. We have got all of that. There is this comfort in the idea that chaos has been scripted. Okay. And that somewhere or someone, in this case, a cartoon, already knows how it's going to end. Now, I am going to say something here. Back to the Future was correct. Okay. If we look at Back to the Future, when Marty was riding on these hoverboards, those things are around now. There are so many things that the movies have done and now are reality. which actually is a little bit scary. Or are they psychic? Anyway, but how did the Simpsons know that this is how it ends? I have a funny story. Segue. I actually listened to a script reading of the Simpsons, and all the actors who were the voices were all sitting around a table. And oh my God, it was really bizarre and I had my script signed and everything. It was really bizarre to actually listen to Bart Simpson and see the person. It was really bizarre. Anyway, it was crazy. Anyway, I segue. So let's talk about this. Woo. So anyway, like I said, a cartoon is really predicting how things will end. Well, honestly, whenever let's to bring this back to spirituality, it shows something here. It shows something about ourselves. It shows something in a spiritual space that we crave certainty. I'll say that again. We crave certainty. That's the reason why there's so many psychics and mediums out there. I will tell you, it's one of the reasons why my name's Lisa Williams and I'm a former psychic junkie. Yes, I used to have a reading that backed up another reading, that backed up another reading, that backed up something else that gave me exactly what I wanted to hear, because I was in a place in my life where I was a mess. And I am going to tell you that destroyed me because I needed certainty in my life. I was in my 20s, I just had my son, and I was working as a psychic medium too. This is the insane thing. I was a psychic. And the only thing that stopped me was me actually listening to somebody, and I said, "Are you reading the book?" And she said, "Yes, I've just started this job." I put the phone down and I said, "I'm done. I'm done." But as a society, we crave this certainty. We want life. We want the mess out there to make absolute sense. That's all we want. And when the whole world feels shaky, wonky, unpredictable, we will reach for absolutely anything that promises a storyline and promises certainty and actuality. Period. But here's the thing. When we outsource all of this and we make meaning to all of these viral headlines, we actually stop listening to our own guidance. You are now being driven by what society wants you to know, by what society is trying to share with you, what the fear is trying to be put into you. And you've stopped listening to your own intuition. And this is not about Donald Trump dying. This is actually about you starting to listen into your own intuition, because you can look at all of this stuff. We can start looking at externally for the answers, but the only answers that you're going to find are right in here. You can come and find a psychic who's going to validate things. However, if you are not prepared to make the choice, and if you are going to sit at home, and this is what happens, I can say to people, because I do it every single day, that I can tell you, you are going to meet a person. Let's say I can say you're going to meet a person in September, and that person does not turn up on your doorstep. But they haven't turned up on your doorstep because you haven't gone out the house, or you haven't gone out the house in 2 weeks. That person is not the Amazon delivery guy. You have the ability to make life be. You have to start living life. And I always say to people when they say, "Oh, well, it hasn't happened again, hasn't happened yet. I'm like, have you taken opportunities? You know, my friend Goethe, I'm sure it was Goethe. I'm sure it was Goethe. She said to me, I can't remember a story. I'm going to try and remember this, and I might upset people with what I'm about to say. And she said, I remember her telling me the story, how someone is floating and they're drifting off to sea. And it might be a story out there that's out. But someone's drifting on a raft, and someone comes by with a boat and says, "Hey, come on, I'll help you." And the guy says, "No, God's going to help me. God's going to help me. God's going to help me." So the guy, the boat goes off and leaves. And then a helicopter comes down and says, "Hey, hey, I'm here to help you." And hey, no, God's got me. God's got me. I know that God has got me. So the helicopter flies off. Well, that person perishes and dies. And when he meets them over on the other side, God says, "Why didn't you take the help that I gave you?" And it's true, because people expect it to literally turn up exactly how it is. And God said, "I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. The rest is your fault." And so this is what I'm going to say to you. You actually have your own intuition. If you are not going to help yourself and walk through an open door that is already presenting itself, and you're saying life is not happening for me, or life sucks, and you're not taking opportunities, then sometimes we have to start looking in the mirror. And I don't like saying things like that, because I'm the nice person. I like everything calm. But there are so many times that I have to have these conversations with my clients, because I say to them, you can't sit and wait for life to happen. You have to realize all of your answers are deep within you. All of your trust is right within you. Yes, absolutely look for the signs. Absolutely look for the synchronicities. Absolutely check them against your own soul's compass or intuition. But your path isn't being guided by, I don't know, an old episode of The Simpsons or whatever. It's the way your body feels when your truth is being spoken. And that is not something that, I don't know, an old channel or an algorithm can hack. It's about you. So I want you to really start trusting your intuition here, my friends. Because what we do is we get into this place where we can't see our way forward. And so sometimes we can't get into our intuition because you can't hear beyond the noise. The noise is crazy. And this leads me on to the third trend that is going on right now. It's this digital detox summer, okay? It's reclaiming inner stillness, la, la, la. And it's this trend that has been a big thing. And I think it's been more revolutionary than most people realize, because this digital detox, on the surface, it looks super simple. And people are taking these intentional breaks from their cell phones, from social media, from constant notifications. They are booking off the grid getaways. They're going off onto retreats. They're sitting in silence. They're doing tech-free weekends. They're setting boundaries with their online screen time. And I'm going to say, good for you. And spiritually, it affects you. It is this is kind of a radical thing. I love it, because we are living in a world that's designed to keep you stimulated, distracted, and reactive. We are designed to have, and when I was studying neuroscience, the statistics out there that states that we are, I think, 800 times have more impressions about 800 times than we did in 1980. So no wonder there are all of these anxiety-driven things that are going on right now, because this is the world that we are living in. And when you unplug, just even for a minute, you start to notice what's been drowned out. You start to notice your own thoughts. you start to think, you start to realize and start feeling this body that you have. And you start to appreciate this body, not for, oh, the size it is, or how big your nose is, or the plastic surgery you can have, or the semaglutide you can put into your body, or whatever it is. You start to notice the vessel that brings you life. It's not about how you look. It's about how this vessel is carrying you. You actually start to realize how much energy you have been spending reacting to things that, quite honestly, don't even matter. I say it to my kids all the time. What are you spending your energy on? I say it specifically to my daughter. And the reason why I say it to her is because sometimes she doesn't want to see it. And I get it. Sometimes you don't. I'm like, you have to see a pattern. When there's a pattern that's going on and someone can lie about a situation, what is it that they're going to do for you? And, it's not exactly met with, woo, yes, I agree. It's not. But sometimes we have to take these digital detoxes to allow ourselves to listen beyond the noise, listen beyond that, I don't know, that commercial, that, it's funny because I've got onto whatnot. It's this auction site. And I mentioned it previously in another podcast. And what happens is everyone's going, oh my God, buy, right? And you've got these swipe. People are swiping on shit they don't even need. And before you know it, you don't even realize how much you've spent. Or I'm sure they don't. And I'm like, oh my God, because you get wrapped up into the energy. And that's the reason why these sites are so successful, is because we are addicted to this and we sit there and we watch it because we're bored. And so we're like, oh my God. We've got the dopamine hit. Swipe. Before you know it, I was watching it last night. There was one woman who she won several auctions. And they weren't expensive, but when you've won them several times, and I don't know how many times, how long she's been on there. And what's funny is I went on one page and then I went to another one and she was on there too. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And purchasing things. And these are not small. Some of them are not small items. There's some items that are going for like $3,000-$4,000. But then there's also some things that are going for like $20. But when you're on there and you're constantly buying, you don't even realize. And there are comments on there that says, oh my gosh, my bank card is not happy with me right now. And it's true. It's a true story. So we get wrapped up into the energy. This is why we are creating this overstimulation. And I'm going to say to you, start being silent. Start finding a time where you can go, offline. Because stillness isn't a luxury, okay? Many years ago, before we had cell phones, or even when we had cell phones, but we didn't have the internet on our cell phone or social media or anything else, we had natural times and natural breaks in our day. People would go out to smoke. People would go outside just to take a walk. People would take a moment. People would have lunch breaks and not be sitting at their desk eating their lunch. People would take a drive. People would go on the Sunday drive and drive the car. People would go out for a walk. People would play games. Kids would play hopscotch outside and not be on their devices. People would sit at the bus stop and just sit in silence, or they would sit and talk to whoever was waiting with them. We would have natural times in our day that we would have these breaks. And these breaks of silence. And now, if we have these moments of breaks, most of us get onto social media, or most of us start checking an email, or most of us start a conversation with somebody because we don't want to be alone. And I have personally tried to stop that because this stillness isn't a luxury, it's actually a necessity. It's where our soul really connects. It's where your intuition grows. And reality is, without your silence, it's where you're just recycling other people's noise and energy. Do you want that? Do you really want that? And I'm sure you're actually saying no to yourself right now. So I'm going to give you a challenge here. Pick a time in the day, time of day, whatever time is, okay, where you are completely offline. No phone, no TV, no notifications, no anything. No even books. You're just silent. And notice how you feel. Notice what ideas start to surface. Notice how your body is changing. Notice how when you clear that static, that noise, spirit doesn't have to shout to get your attention or knock a book off the bookshelf. It can start whispering and you start hearing it. We are so geared to our digital technology that we need time to step away. And we need time to just be with our own thoughts. Meditation isn't about having a clear mind. It's about having a quiet mind to allow the thoughts to come in and out and let the brain process in the way that it needs to. And just allow things to go, letting things go. It's the art of letting go. It's the art of surrendering. It's not going to change the bill I have sitting here that I have to pay as soon as I finish this. What it is it's calming my nervous system to prepare me to jump on and do whatever I need to do. Not that it bothers me, but it's calming my nervous system. We're overstimulating. We're overstimulating ourselves. We're overstimulating our children. We're overstimulating our businesses. We're overstimulating our lives. And we're overstimulating our relationships because we're allowing these digital technologies to take over our relationships. How often have you sat in a restaurant and you've looked over and seen a couple be on both their phones? Yeah. It's a really important part of us. And so start having those moments that you can have that break. So in closing, here's what I want to say is, as we bring all of this together, I think these scams show us that where we need to set better boundaries, where these viral myths show us what we're hungry for. We're hungry for meaning. And these digital detoxes show us how really to find it again. The internet is not going away, my friends. The noise is not stopping. But you right now get to choose what gets your attention, what you trust, how your energy is being impacted. You get to choose all of this. And so maybe next time something sort of pings on your phone or your Apple Watch kind goes off, or, shocks your feed, or kind of like demands this like reaction, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what is this taking from me, or what is it teaching me? Because this digital age, online, every moment that we have online is a mirror. It's got to show us something. And if we're willing to look at it, and I mean really look, we can find something sacred even in that moment, even in that meme and that scroll. So I want to say thank you for spending time with me today on this topic. And I'm very passionate about it because there are definitely three topics that they've been trending right now, but they've also bothered me a little bit. Or I see the value in it, especially the last one, because I think it's so powerful. And if it resonates for you, and if you think somebody else needs to hear it, then please, please, please share it with someone who is feeling drained or who is in discomfort. Share with them hope, healing, and transformation. Because when we really wake up to what's happening in the digital world out there, we don't just protect our power, we reclaim our power. That's what it is. We're reclaiming ourselves. We don't need to protect that space when we are calm. What we have to do is we have to protect that space from the noise. And when we get rid of the noise, we reclaim ourselves. It's really important. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Hope, healing, and transformation. My name's Lisa Williams, and I'll see you all again next time.
Do you feel a whisper in the back of your mind, like the truth is waiting, but it's hard to find? Well, maybe there's magic in the words she brings. Close your eyes and listen in. Do you want to know everything? What your heart won't say, but your soul can sing. From love to loss and the space between, she's got the light to lift the unseen. Hope, healing, and transformation. Do you want to know everything? Do you want to know everything?
Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, the information shared on this podcast is meant to inspire and support you, but it's not a replacement for personalized advice from a qualified professional. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to tune in next time. Until then, take care and keep believing in something better.